Okay, let's call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is roll call. Staff.
Attendance noted.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes for the regular commission meeting of February 21st, 2015. Okay, a motion, is there a second? Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries. This is an opportunity for the citizens to address the commission for any item that is not on the agenda. Is there anyone that wishes to address the commission? Anyone that wishes to address the commission? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the first order of business, which is the public hearings. Item number 1 is consider land use applications related to proposal Mako Collision Auto Body Repair Shop at 6244 Cedar Avenue. Staff?
Thank you, Chair Jabs. The city's comprehensive plan guides the property at 6244 Cedar Avenue for public and quasi-public use. For many years, the site was owned and operated by Quest, now CenturyLink, and this designation was consistent with use as a public utility. In 2011, Quest sold the property to the owners of cleaning service Zero Res. At the time of purchase, the proposed use of the site, primarily for parking of service vehicles, was found to be substantially similar to Quest's use of the property, and no land use approvals were required. Since this time, Zero Res's business has substantially expanded, and the site has become overcrowded. Upon recent inspection, the city has found numerous code violations. The applicant is proposing to acquire this property for use as an auto body repair facility. The proposed change in use of the property requires that the applicant apply for a comprehensive plan amendment to change the designation to community commercial and a conditional use permit for auto body repair. The applicant is also requesting variances to allow taller screening materials in what is considered the front yard of the property and a reduced buffer yard where the property is adjacent to a public utility building. In terms of the comprehensive plan amendment, as I mentioned, this property is guided public and quasi-public. That generally allows for civic, county, and state facilities, religious facilities, schools, and other similar nonprofit uses. For the past 4 years, the site has been used for commercial purposes. The Cedar Corridor Master Plan identifies this parcel and the Centerpoint Energy parcel to the north as parkland. Actually, in some maps, it identifies it as parkland, and in other maps, it just shows it as a blank space, not identified as anything. The parcels are not specifically discussed as part of that plan, and therefore the intent of that plan is somewhat unclear. Amending the city's comprehensive plan is a question of community character, and the factors to be considered in that decision are qualitative rather than quantitative. There's been renewed interest in development within the Cedar Corridor over the past 6 months, and the council has discussed possibly revisiting the 10-year-old Cedar Corridor Master Plan. Whether or not this property should be part of that study, or if this particular change is appropriate and desired at this time, is a decision that should be made by the appointed and elected officials of the city as opposed to staff. So I'm going to cover the technical issues here and leave the decision on the comprehensive plan up to you. For the conditional use permit, there's a full discussion of all of the requirements as an attachment to your report. I'm just going to go over some of the larger issues and the areas in which they've asked for deviations from the code. There are significant buffering requirements when auto body repair uses are adjacent to residentially zoned property, which is how the park is zoned. Code regulations state that these buffering requirements apply to all aspects of the use. However, staff believes that the intention may be to apply these heavy buffering requirements to aspects that are unique to this type of use. For instance, the damaged vehicles, as opposed to just the regular parking lot or the building itself. The applicant is proposing a heavily landscaped 20-foot buffer with 100% opacity along the western edge of the south parking lot. On the illustration there, it is on your left-hand side. A cedar fence is also shown on the plans as an optional addition if the Planning Commission or Council feel that it's necessary. A 6-foot cedar fence will be installed within the northwest corner of that south parking lot in order to screen damaged vehicles from the south and east. Staff recommends that the cedar fence be installed on all 3 sides of that damaged vehicle parking area. leaving it potentially open where it's adjacent to the building. But then that the landscaping suffice as you move south and not require the cedar fencing along the entire western border of that parking lot. Staff also recommends that the Planning Commission and Council approve a landscape plan that would include normal parking lot screening along the residential edge of the northern parking lot that is on the right-hand side of your plan. This plan does not show parking lot screening there, but it would be a requirement. That is a general requirement of the code. And again, instead of requiring that 15-foot buffer with 100% opacity, staff is recommending that just the normal parking lot requirements apply there, and that no damaged vehicles be allowed in that lot. A 15-foot buffer is also required to separate the use from any abutting parcel. The north parking lot is separated from the CenterPoint Energy parcel by a 10-foot wide, heavily landscaped buffer. That's an existing landscaped area that is not shown on this plan. A block utility building with no permanent staff is located on that CenterPoint property. If any of you drove by, it is a cinder block building surrounded by a chain link fence with razor wire. Staff believes that the requested variance is reasonable given how that property is used and that the density of that existing vegetation. Vehicles awaiting repair must be stored in appropriately designated, designed, and screened areas approved by the city. The applicant has proposed the cedar fence that I mentioned before in the northwest corner of the parking lot, and additional damaged vehicles would be stored inside the building. That proposed fence does exceed the height limit for that area. On this property, that south parking lot is considered the front yard. The zoning code defines the front lot line as the shorter of your two lot lines on a corner lot. And so in the front yard, fences, hedge walls, things like that cannot exceed 4 feet. The applicant is asking for a variance to install the 6-foot fence to screen the damaged vehicles. Finally, the council must also find that the 8 general requirements to grant a CUP are met. 2 key requirements there are that the proposed use is consistent with the goals, policies, and objectives of the city's comprehensive plan, and that there's a public need for such a use at the proposed location. Finally, just one additional note as an aside, there are, as I mentioned, a number of current code violations at this site that will need to be addressed whether or not this application goes through. The current property owner has been sent notice of those code violations, and we will work with whomever to get those taken care of. That includes the unauthorized striping of the public street for additional parking that is out there right now. So that concludes my report. Applicants Mark and Carrie Kaufman are here tonight if you have any questions for them.
Okay, thank you. I just want to ask one question before we let the applicants speak, but I assume that this was discussed with the recreational services as far as the parkland situation. Any comments from them relative to that property?
Thank you, Chair Jabs. I did discuss it with Recreation Services Director Topitzoffer, and the concern was the buffering, but he was satisfied with the proposed landscape plan. I have also spoken with the city forester who has some concerns over the specific plant materials that have been selected, but that's something that can be worked out at a staff level if approved. As a condition of approval, we have stipulated that a final landscape plan be approved by community development and the city forester.
Thank you. Is there any other questions of staff before we? Okay. Okay, please give us your comments.
Thank you. My name is Mark Kaufman. This is my wife, Carrie Ann, over here. And first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to come and present tonight. We're very excited about this opportunity, and we hope we can pull it off and make it happen for you. My goals here tonight is to tell you a little bit about who we are, what we do, some of the benefits we have, and some of the services that we offer. And the first thing is I want to talk a little bit about Maaco's brand position. It's a little bit different than a traditional body shop. We're kind of in the middle. On one side, you have a lot of small repair facilities that do very little business. Some of them are maybe perhaps a little bit older. And on the other side, you have what's called a high-end DRP shop. DRP is a direct repair program for the insurance industry. This is most of the body shops today have direct repair programs with the insurance industry. And how those work is if you have an accident with your car, the insurance company sends you to that shop, and it's between the insurance company and the shop to get your car done. Mako positioned themselves more in the middle. And this is really important because this really sets us aside, and this is the primary point of differentiation that we have and the need that we have in the community. We don't rely on insurance contracts for most of our work. We do both collision repair and auto painting, which most insurance or most high-end shops don't do that much auto painting. Where we fit in is where people maybe don't have full insurance coverage. Perhaps they don't have their deductibles higher than what they can afford, and they're looking for an alternative to get their repairs made without as much deductible, or they're looking to pay out of pocket. It's a large part of our business, so we really see ourselves as an alternative to the traditional facilities we have. We have the Mako that I own today, and I've owned it for 4 years, is a very well-established Mako. We're on Lake Street in Minneapolis. It's been there since 1976 in the same location. We're being somewhat forced to be moved out because of some school district things that's going on there. They're trying to take over the block. And we've actually outgrown the facility, so it's time for us to look. We repair over 2,000 vehicles annually, and I'll talk in a few moments about where most of those come from. And one interesting thing to note is we do have 12 current employees. These are not low-end jobs. These are $40,000 a year is our average salary. We see we're at 12 now. We would expect that to grow to about 20 within the next couple of years. They're pretty good jobs. They're highly skilled for the most part, whether it's the painter or the body technician or the estimators are all pretty highly skilled. We are growing at about 10%. We're a certified Mako center, and we're in the top 10 of the Mako centers across the U.S. There's 550 to 600 Makos across the U.S. today. In this market, there's about 6 or 7 Makos, and they're equally spread throughout the market. This slide may be a little bit hard to see, but we have really 3 areas where we get our business from. Trade, of which I'll cover extensively here in a minute. Retail, which is people coming in to either get their car painted because it's getting old or they just want to refresh it. They want to hand their cars to their kids to go off to college, and it's beat up pretty badly. And then the third segment is we do some work with insurance companies. Most of the work we do with insurance companies are when people who have dealt with us in the past bring their car to us, and we work with the insurance company. It's not a direct repair. We do not have any direct repair relationships with insurance companies today, nor do we really want them. Why we want Richfield? This is a big slide for us. We'd like to come to Richfield because of our trade activity. It's a very important part of our business. 2 of my largest customers are Hertz Rent-A-Car and Avis Rent-A-Car. We do 500 to 600 vehicles annually from just those 2 customers alone. People rent cars, they damage them, they bring them back to facilities, they ship them up to us, we get them back within a couple days, and they get them back in the rental fleets. We also do a tremendous amount of work for Delta Airlines. We manage their entire ground crew, all the vans you see driving around the airport, and some of the lift equipment you see driving around the airport. Most of those vehicles they have are 20 and 25 years old, and every couple of years we go through and we take all the dents out, replace all the broken lights and things like that, and repaint the vehicles to keep them in service for an extended period of time. In addition to that, we do work with Advantage Rent-A-Car, which is also at the airport, Zipcar, you see them all here, Safe Light Auto Glass. We even paint post office boxes. The blue post office boxes that you see throughout your neighborhoods. The U.S. Postal Service is in the process of making those all appear a little bit nicer than what they are. Most of them today are in pretty bad shape. We paint 200 to 300 postal boxes a year, try to refurbish them a little bit. So trade's really important to us, and it's really important to be down here by the airport because that's where the majority of our trade comes from. So it's really, really important to us. I just kind of threw a slide up because the services we offered is a little different than what a lot of traditional body shops. Yeah, we do a lot of the same thing, the collision repair and things like that, but we do a lot of rust repair, for example. Most shops won't touch rust. It's a really, really difficult and complex process to try to save a car once it's begun to rust, but we do a pretty good job at doing that. We fix bumpers. Most shops don't fix bumpers. We do that because it's a better option in many cases for people who can't afford to buy the new bumper. So you see, we have a lot. We do a lot more than just traditional dent repair and body shop stuff. This is one of the slides I'm the most proud of. If people think about body shops and auto painting, they think about heavy VOCs and toxic sludge and all that kind of stuff. We're a very, very environmentally friendly body shop. We spray our base coats with water-based paint, which is 0 VOCs. Water-based paint is what's coming out of all the auto manufacturers today. We have a solvent recovery system where any of the solvents that we use, any leftover paint, any of the leftover stuff we wash, we put it through a recycler, which distills it back to reusable solvent. Our metal recycling, we take all of our body parts we take off cars, we recycle those. We even recycle our used paint cans in a crusher after they're dry. Crush them, we take them to a recycling facility. And lastly, our paper recycling. All the paper we use, whether it's the corrugated boxes or whether it's the paper we use in masking, we all bundle that up and that all goes to the recycling facility as well. What this means is that from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, we're a very small quantity generator. That's the smallest level of hazardous waste that you can generate as determined by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. We ship out less than 50 gallons a year of hazardous waste for recycling. So we're really proud of this. State of the art with environmental initiatives, and hopefully in this new facility, if we can get this new facility here, we're going to even have more technology and air filters and things like that we're proposing to even help them. That's kind of our presentation. We're very excited about this. We feel it's a really good benefit to the community. A lot of our customers today are coming from Richfield. Carrie and I both live just north on 60th Street. And we live in, we shop here, we frequent here regularly. We'd really like to be a part of this community. And with that, I'd like to open it up for questions.
Okay, anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when the cars come in from the airport, are they driven in? Are they towed in? Are they semied in? How do they get from the rental car facility to your facility?
That's a good question. Most of the vehicles we get are not extremely heavily damaged vehicles. We get very, very few of those. Most of the stuff that we deal, we call it cosmolition, which is normally somebody has broken a bumper, scraped a door. A lot of our cars have orange paint on them because of all the orange posts that you see around the parking structure, things like that. Very few of them none of them come in on semis. Some of them do come in on wreckers. Normally that comes in if there's a suspension problem where they're not drivable. Some of them come in on trailer. I do pick some up on trailer. The Delta Airlines, for example, those are not street legal vehicles. They're not licensed on the street, so I do pick all those up on a trailer. We roll them off, bring them in the shop. You just won't see around our facility, you won't see the big, heavy, total out, airbag deployed vehicles there. That's more for a traditional body shop.
Other questions? Okay. Does anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm just curious, in the event you do bring in a vehicle on a wrecker or a vehicle from the airport, how would you see accessing your shop? Would you be coming up 66th and taking Richfield Parkway there, or would you be coming in from the north? Or, I mean, are those vehicles, do you feel like Richfield Parkway can adequately accommodate traffic in and out of your site?
Yeah, I mean, it's really probably no more difficult than what Target or Home Depot would have getting their deliveries in there. A rollback wrecker is normally how they would come in if they're on a wrecker. It's not substantially large. We're a little concerned about about with the buffering on the south side, we gotta make sure we have enough room that we can get a record back in there, but it's really not that frequently that we get a vehicle with a record come into our facility.
Do you want to speak to us a little bit about how the face of the building will look once you're in, and what you see from Cedar Avenue? I guess is what I'm interested
Yeah,
in.
for sure. The building's actually in pretty good shape. There's a little bit of tuck pointing needs to be done, things like that, but it's a brick building and the brick would remain there. There's an upper stripe along the building that's currently white, and we propose to make that the Mako colors, which is a blue color with a sign. It's typically a blue and red sign that would go on there. And, you know, we'd be working within the signage requirements or the signage constraints that are given to us. But it's nothing, you know, a sign out in the front, but the building itself probably won't change that much. We'll change the entrance a little bit. The entrance today is more of a employee entrance. So we'd probably want to just change the door, make the door a little bit more presentable to the customer.
And generally, any cars that have issues are either inside or parked in the fence area, correct? So nothing would be from Cedar evident as far as wrecked cars, damaged cars, those types of
Yeah,
deals.
yeah. Most of the cars that were in our facility, you would not, even if there was a dent in a door, you would be very unlikely you'd be able to tell that from Cedar. 80 of the vehicles that are damaged enough, we're proposing to go inside, where there's lots of room inside for that. There'd be spots inside that we set up specific for that. And then in the south parking lot, there's going to be a spot where we can put 6 to 7 within a fenced-in area, and it would probably also where we'd put our recycling center in there as well.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience? This is a public hearing, so if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to address this, this is your opportunity. Okay, seeing none, I ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Move that we close the public hearing.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion, or what's your issues, if any?
I had a couple questions for staff, actually. One, the applicant just mentioned the recycling being outside. I know with a lot of new buildings, internal trash circulation has been an issue. Is this not a requirement for this project?
No, it's only a requirement for new buildings.
Okay.
If it's outside, there are requirements. There are requirements that the enclosure has to match the building. It has to be on a concrete pad. It has to be a certain distance from the property lines. I think that those are all things we can work with, but primarily, I understand that things will be stored inside the building.
Okay. My other question, the chairman had asked about reaching out to Park Board about the impact to the park, but I'm also curious, since the comprehensive plan does envision that this would be parkland, or at least we think it does, is there any interest from parks in actually purchasing this as parkland as the comprehensive plan would envision? Or would it just be an empty commercial building?
You know what, the Parks Director was out of the office today, and so I was unable to talk to him about it. He did review the proposal as part of our Administrative Review Committee report. I don't believe it was specifically proposed as would you consider buying this property? Was this on your list? It wasn't brought up. So it's definitely something we can look at before we get to the City Council.
Okay, any other question? Okay. What position do you take? You want to make motion?
We need two motions then?
Correct. You'll need to make a motion to approve or deny the comprehensive plan amendment, and then after that motion,
Yeah, okay.
right,
All
approve or
right.
deny.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve the comprehensive plan amendment to change the designation of 6244 Cedar Avenue from public, quasi-public to community commercial.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion? Just a couple comments I'd make is that I think they've done a decent job of taking care and hiding things that that have to be hidden, and still kind of bringing that up to up to snuff again. So I think it needs some help over there. It seems like a good fit to me, and I think the change to the comprehensive plan makes it viable to fit it in there. So that's kind of where I sit. Any other comments?
I agree. My only concern would have been the traffic, maybe not for this business, but any future business that if we're rezoning this, that may come in.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. So there's been a motion and a second to change the comprehensive plan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, you want to make the second? Item?
I will move to recommend approval of the conditional use permit and variance to allow an auto body repair business at 6244 Cedar Avenue.
Do I have a second? Okay, thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Are we stipulating the requirement of the fence along 63rd and Old Cedar then?
One more time.
Are we requiring the higher fence? Because that was one of the options that staff had presented.
That is the
Yeah.
question.
It's part of the
It is part of what we're approving.
approving, yeah.
That is correct. It is
Okay.
it is a stipulation in your resolution. Unless you want to change it, that is what staff
But
has
that is
recommended.
what the staff has brought forward to us.
Correct.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. That being said, any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving along to item number 2 is consider a request for an amendment to the city's zoning ordinance and a request to allow the high school-based health center at Richfield High School. Staff.
Thank you, Chair Jabs. Richfield Public Schools has requested a text amendment to the zoning code that would allow school-based health centers within public or private schools. The Richfield School District is proposing to develop such a center at Richfield High School. The purpose of the health center is to improve student access to affordable healthcare services. Primary healthcare, along with dental, vision, and mental health services, would be provided. According to the attached case statement provided by the applicant, school-based health centers are considered one of the most effective and efficient ways to provide needed healthcare to children. A similar school-based health center operates in Brooklyn Center. So I'm just going to quickly summarize the proposed ordinance. The text amendment would conditionally permit school-based health centers as an accessory or subordinate use to existing schools. So just as a reminder, conditionally permitted uses require a conditional use permit, and each of these uses would have to come before both the Planning Commission and the City Council. The health center must primarily serve students. In residential districts, hours of operation may not extend beyond the regular operational hours of the school by more than 1 hour in the morning and 6 p.m. in the evening. The total square footage of the health center may not exceed 3,000 square feet or 10% of the total building square footage, whichever is less. Designated parking equal to staff plus 1 per exam room must be provided and designated for clinic use. And because of the focus on students and the associated sharing of parking, signage will be limited to directional and identification signs. And I've listed the specifications of those signs in your report. I can discuss those further if you have questions. The proposed health center is 2,200 square feet, and the site plan meets the proposed conditions. 9 additional parking stalls will be added to the parking lot immediately adjacent to the health center, and they shall be signed accordingly. City staff is interested in continuing to discuss the location of the proposed additional parking with the school district. We feel that with some changes to the striping in that existing parking lot, they may be able to accommodate those stalls there as opposed to paving any additional area. 5 staff members are anticipated during peak periods, and anticipated hours of operation are from noon to 6 p.m. All of the preliminary plans have been reviewed by the city's administrative review committee, and we don't anticipate any issues. Michael Schwartz, who is the Executive Director of Finance and Operations with Richfield Public Schools, is here tonight if you have any questions, and that concludes staff's report.
Okay, first, any questions of staff at all? Okay, Michael, if you wish to address us.
Good evening. Basically, I think staff has said pretty much what we plan to do. This, not only in Brooklyn Center, there's a facility also in St. Louis Park School District, and they've been operating for 10 years. So very successful. history shows, or data shows that this is very beneficial for our students. And with the demographics of our school district, very similar to Brooklyn Center, that we feel that this will be very, very beneficial to students and families.
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Schwartz, what kind of health professionals will be on staff?
These will be regular doctors. They're volunteering their time to serve. All the build-out for the facility will be volunteer or paid for by Park Nicollet Foundation. So this is the same program that they've done at the 2 other health centers.
So there will be MDs
Yes.
there
Well,
as,
at least one MD.
One.
They'll be. We're hoping to have vision. We're not quite sure, and there'll be a dental, a
okay,
dentist.
okay. And then nurses too, or just doctors?
There might be. Yeah, I'm sure there's nursing assistants
Okay,
that will be there.
interesting, okay.
And is there any charge to the students for this?
No, no charge. They will be asked if they have insurance, but they won't be required to have insurance. So we'd be doing that just to see, trying to get data to see who has insurance and who doesn't.
Okay. And also, relative to the use of this, I noticed that it kind of still leaves it open as far as others besides students. How does that work? Can you tell me?
Well, basically, it's for our students, and it's for their families. So there could be young kids that are not school age, that, again, with these demographics, they're families, and families tend to come together. The main intention is for students, but we will, my understanding is how it works in the other 2 centers is that when families come, all are served.
Yeah, just recently, the Richfield League of Women Voters had a incredible event here on mental health issues in youth. And I see that you are going to have that issue as one of your, as one of the things that would be looked at, or would be, healthcare would be provided. And I think that is really good, because it came out during the conference that there's just not enough help out there for students, for our kids. And anything that a school can do like this is really, will be needed, and it's really be helpful, because kids sometimes don't get the help, you
Right.
know, and if they have a trusted medical health care provider, maybe then, even if one of our students is helped, then you're successful. So I'm really glad to see that part.
One of the things we're planning to do with this is have video, so that wouldn't necessarily need to have a mental health person on site, that they could do it
Referral.
referral, or we can do more than one at a time. So.
Well, like I said, if you can help one, you gotta feel like you're really doing the right thing. So I think this is really a good thing, and really I'm glad to see that we're taking this step.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. Is it just school district funds for any of the extra cost involved in this?
Basically, the extra cost is going to be, we have to have a staff person. And I know when we toured Brooklyn Center, they had a half-time person, but it would be someone who's already working in the school district, so it would be added duties for that.
Okay, so is there any matching state money or federal money or anything like that involved?
No, this would be school district funds just for that piece. And because of that, we feel it's very sustainable.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to ask about the hours of operation. So are students generally receiving services during the day? It says 1 hour before school to 6 p.m. in the evening.
We anticipate that it will probably be from 12 to 5 or 6.
Okay.
It'll be open 4 or 5 days, but different groups will be working. So you'll have regular health care that would be 2 or 3 days a week. You'd have dental 2 or 3 days a week. So there'd be different services. We won't have it filled every day, all the same services, and students will be able to do appointments for some.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering, are they doing this as part of their time at school normally, or are they making a special trip separate from their day at day at school?
Well, at the high school, they'll be able to do it during the day,
Okay.
most likely.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, one more clarification. And are you a student of the high school, you can access this service, or are you any student within the district, you can access this service?
Any student within the district.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that, this is a public hearing, anyone else who wishes to come forward to speak to this issue? Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. Could I ask for a motion to close the public hearing?
Move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, and looks like we have 2 items to approve on this. So if someone would like to make a motion on the first one.
All right, I'll recommend approval of the ordinance amending the Richfield City Code to allow accessory school-based health centers as a conditional use at Richfield High School.
And I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think it's a fantastic addition to the school district. I'm very excited about this.
Likewise, I love everything about it, and I'm hopeful that you can accommodate the additional parking needs by restriping that existing surface lot.
Very good. Anything else? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. And then the second item needs approval. Recommend approval for the amendment.
Well, I will move to recommend approval for an amendment to a conditional use permit at 7001 Harriet Avenue to allow a school-based health center.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for doing that. Okay, moving on to item number 3 is consider a number of land use requests related to proposal of the Audi car dealership at 7711 through 14 Avenue, blah, blah, blah. Staff?
Thank you, Chair Jones. The property is located at blah, 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 or at 1400, 1420, 1500 78th Street East and 7711 14th Avenue. Currently include 2 tenants, Second Wind Exercise Equipment and Ace Rent-A-Car. The other properties, formerly Airport Bowl and the Backyard Bar and Grill, have both been vacant for more than 5 years and have fallen into disrepair. The comprehensive plan currently guides these properties for high-density residential and office use, and the associated zoning is mixed-use community. Prior to the adoption of the 494 Corridor Plan in 2005, these properties were guided for regional, commercial, and office use and zoned general business, C2. As part of the 2005 corridor planning study, market consultants suggested that retail alone in Richfield's 494 corridor would be difficult to sustain due to competition from the Mall of America, Southdale Mall, and existing businesses on the south side of the interstate. Sites designated as regional commercial office on the Richfield side were reduced to those areas near existing or anticipated major transportation access points. Those include Penn Avenue, Lyndale Avenue, Portland Avenue, and immediately adjacent to the anticipated 77th Street underpass. The properties in question are 1 block east of a regionally designated area. International Autos Group has entered into a purchase agreement for these 4 properties in order to combine them, demolish the existing structures, and construct a new $13 million 3-story Audi car dealership and associated parking ramp. The proposed project includes buildings that provide attractive views from both 77th Street and the freeway. Building siting and design meet the requirements of the mixed-use district, which include buildings that front on and provide direct access to 77th Street, avoid large blank walls, and utilize high-quality building materials. The proposal also addresses the significant pedestrian and landscaping desires expressed by both the code and the comprehensive plan through the inclusion of quasi-public amenities. Sidewalks, including a lighted decorative pedestrian path, will be provided on all 4 sides, and more than 11,000 square feet and a more than 11,000 square foot plaza and landscaped area will be constructed along 77th Street. The proposal will more than double the pervious area and will exceed minimum requirements, a rare occurrence for a commercial development. The applicant has requested a phased approach to their build-out in order to better evaluate the size of the parking ramp. At a minimum, the applicant will construct a 2-story ramp, However, based on inventory and service needs, this could be increased to 4 stories. The applicant anticipates creating between 60 and 100 new high-paying jobs in the community. A little bit more on the history of that 494 corridor plan. The intent of that study and the resulting plan was to help ensure the continued investment in and future vitality of this area. It was meant to establish guiding principles that would help create an attractive, dense, walkable, and green edge along the city's southern boundary. Regulations were intended to provide for and take advantage of opportunities that the visibility along the interstate could provide, specifically advantages related to increased and diversified tax base and increased employment opportunity. Regional commercial designations were limited due to a perceived saturation of the retail market in this area. A car dealership, however, is a unique type of regional retail to which these same rules may not be applicable. State law and specific franchise requirements largely dictate the location of dealerships, and dealerships are a definitive example of destination retail. While this area was seen as marginal for typical regional retail, and therefore guided for housing and office use, the destination component of the proposed use makes regional commercial development possible here. Additionally, the city has received a preliminary pledge of funding and is moving forward with a plan to construct the long-awaited 77th Street underpass. This increased access and the potential regional traffic that could now travel along this section of roadway makes it reasonable to reconsider the designation of properties in this area. The mixed-use zoning districts and associated regulations were created to implement the master plan vision. These properties are currently zoned mixed-use community, as I mentioned before, and would not allow automobile sales. The applicant has requested a change in the zoning to a planned unit development district, planned mixed use, which would be in keeping with the requested comprehensive plan amendment. Planned unit developments are intended to encourage the efficient use of land and resources and to encourage innovation in planning and building. In exchange for these efficiencies and superior design, flexibility in the application of dimensional requirements is available. As is the case in many of our applications these days, there are a lot of requirements that apply. There's a large document that is attached to your report that goes over each of those. I'm going to cover the specific variations from standard requirements that have been requested. First, there's building coverage. Without the multi-story parking ramp, the proposal offers building coverage of 29% of the site. The mixed-use regional district requires a minimum of 50%. Building coverage would increase to an estimated 44% upon construction of the parking ramp. The applicant could construct a 2-story ramp now, as I mentioned, however, would prefer to wait and assess their needs once open for business. The applicant has indicated that a ramp would be constructed within 5 years and is open to a stipulation requiring as much. The current combined building coverage of the site is less than 18%. For setbacks, the main building exceeds the maximum side setback along 14th Avenue. However, the proposed design nicely separates parking lots such that there are no huge expanses of pavement on the site. The site design significantly improves compliance with all setback regulations from current conditions. There is a 15-foot buffer yard requirement when you're adjacent to residential, and that is met along the eastern side. And then, as you'll note on the site plans, there is a large storm sewer pipe and a large easement that splits the site, and so the buildings cannot be flipped to put the larger setback adjacent to the apartments and meet that setback on 14th Avenue. A 15-foot landscape buffer is also required along Interstate 494. The proposed buffer yard within the applicant's property ranges from approximately 5 feet to 8 feet. However, there's an extremely large boulevard along that southern edge. There's over 18 feet of grass between the property line and the current sidewalk on 78th Street. The applicant is proposing to expand their landscaping into that large boulevard area, and MnDOT has reviewed the preliminary plans. We don't anticipate any issues with extending that landscaping. The applicant is also asking for one sign variation, and that is along Interstate 494. The maximum allowed in this district is 27 feet. The applicant has requested a sign that would be 33 feet tall. This is requested in order to be better proportioned with the 48-foot high building facades. This increase is also less than what was granted for the Honda dealership. For lighting, the proposed lighting exceeds city maximums. However, it's significantly lower than typical auto dealership lighting, as we discussed as part of the Honda project, many dealerships are in the 90 to 100 foot candle level. The proposals are right around 20 foot candles at the maximums. And this is similar to what we approved for Honda. The photometric plan that's included in your packet shows that no light from the dealership would spill over to the north side of 77th Street. The decorative lighting along the path on the east side of the site pushes the light levels over the 1 foot candle limit at that shared residential property line. And the applicant is willing to remove that pathway lighting. However, public safety and community development feel that it's important and recommend that it be installed. The applicant intends to install dimmable fixtures that can be further, where the light level can be lowered further if they become a nuisance. And also, as a note, there are no windows on the west sides of those apartment buildings. Staff recommends that a stipulation of approval require that the lights be dimmed to meet city standards between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. daily. Fixture selection will continue to be reviewed by staff, and only full cutoff fixtures will be permitted for non-decorative lighting. For shadows, there are no specific requirements related to solar access adjacent to multifamily properties, only adjacent to single and two-family properties. However, in the interest of full disclosure, staff asked the applicant to submit a shadow study for the summer and winter solstice. The parking structure, the proposed future parking structure, will increase shadows significantly over a portion of the apartment parcel. Again, it should be noted that there are no windows on these sides of the building. So just a few notes in summary. Regional retail in this area was not identified as an undesirable use, but rather was not seen as a viable option in this location. Staff believes that a regional commercial development is compatible with the city's vision for this area and that it wouldn't be detrimental to future redevelopment. Most of the zoning code deviations are minor, and they relate specifically to the proposed use or the particulars of this site. The delayed construction of the multi-story parking ramp is a key consideration for the commission and the council. Staff, however, recommends approval of this delayed construction with a maximum time period of 5 years so that the applicant can fully evaluate their future needs. We recommend that the approval be conditioned upon the applicant entering into a separate contract with the city to detail the timing and potential penalties for noncompliance with that stipulation. Finally, city staff has estimated that the proposed redevelopment would result in between $80,000 and $128,000 in additional tax revenue annually for the city. That concludes staff's report. Both the architect and International Autos Group representatives are here tonight.
I don't think I could possibly add a lot to Melissa and her staff's report. It's an outstanding job, an outstanding report. I'm Ralph Morrow. I'm one of the owners of the International Auto Group. I'm here with Tom Dexter, one of my partners, and Dave Phillips from Phillips Architect, our chosen architect. I would add this. International Auto Group is a family-owned company, third generation, privately held. This would be our fourth Audi dealership, given the opportunity to represent the Audi product in this market. Audi is not currently represented in the Bloomfield, Richfield market. We're extremely proud of the fact that we were chosen amongst over 100 dealers that applied for it. We were chosen because of the quality of operation that we have, the quality of our employees, the quality of our customer satisfaction, along with the relationship that we have with the current community. Once again, would be our fourth Audi dealership. We have 25 different franchises around the Midwest. We have 2 Audi franchises in the Milwaukee market, 1 in Chicago. And given the opportunity, I think that we would be something that you could be extremely proud of, not only for our facility, but for our customer contact and taking care of your question.
Questions?
I have a question about the fountain you have on your photo there. Would that be open to the public or reserved for just your customers for some
Open
reason?
to the public.
Okay.
You know, the intention of it was to have some sort of public amenity part of the process.
Mhm.
In addition to the fountain, the parking area actually also has electric charging stations for electric vehicles. We think it's a need in the community. We were told that it's something that the community needed. But we'd welcome all the residents, all the participants to come.
Thank you.
Great place to come and have fun.
Any reservations on the 5-year plan? What has your been obviously you've been successful. So is there anything that might not help you or make you achieve it? I mean, you have an excellent
No,
location, et cetera.
Yeah, I think what it is, I think we're willing to do a two-story parking garage up front. I think that was one of the things we said. We just don't know exactly what at one point in time, the Audi product had estimated that they wanted to hit 200,000 vehicles by the year 2020. That estimate in the last year has changed to 300,000 vehicles in the U.S. market. We know that we'll be successful in that market. It's just a question of how successful we'll be and what kind of need we'll have for parking. There's a lot of amenities that we can offer our customers, drop off and pick up for airport shuttles, down the line. So based on our customer, based on the growth, that two-story parking garage could pretty quickly turn into a four-story. So we'd like that first couple of years in order to ascertain what kind of volume.
Other questions?
I'm looking at the shadow study for the winter solstice, and I can't tell how far the shadow's gonna go beyond the apartment building. Do you know?
And that was based on force.
Okay, anything else? Yes.
I do.
Sean?
Yeah. I am just curious, one of the things, and I'm not sure if it made it into the zoning code, but that's covered in the comprehensive plan is, of course, the importance of buildings being close to the street, and then specifically not having parking lots on corners. And your building does a great job fronting 77th, and I really appreciate that. But the actual corner of 14th and 77th is left pretty naked. Did you guys look at any orientation that would extend the showroom or allow that corner to be framed out by your building? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone else? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes, this is a public hearing, so you have an opportunity to speak if you wish? Anyone? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, so there are 3 items on here. I guess just make a couple comments, I guess. Right from the beginning, when I saw your plans, I was impressed, and I just think that an opportunity like this doesn't come along very often. So I think it's an impetus to get that whole area really moving along. And I think once we're open up to 77th, it becomes even more so. And I think the design that you have, the fountain, et cetera, makes it very nice for the residential piece to fit in, and you fit in as a neighbor to make things much more cheerier than what they are right now in that area. So from my perspective, this is really a great thing for Richfield. So.
Maybe just one question for staff. Has anything materially changed since the study session?
I would say there have been minor
Okay.
site changes, nothing major.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, if there's no other comments, I'd ask for...
I do have a question,
okay.
sorry, for staff. There's a comment in your report that legal notices were sent out, or notice that the zoning change was sent out to the adjacent properties. Does that actually go out to the residents or just to the building owners?
It goes to both.
Okay, so all residents who lived in those apartment buildings adjacent got a notice of this hearing?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that, we have 3 options here, or 3 items that have to be addressed. So if I could get a motion on the first item, which is approval of the comp plan.
All right, I'll start on this end. I'll recommend approval of a comprehensive plan amendment changing the designation of 1400, 1420, and 1500 78th Street East and 7711th 14th Avenue from high-density residential office to regional commercial.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Chuck, item number 2.
All right, I'll recommend approval of the rezoning of 1400, 1420, and 1500 78th Street East and 7711 14th Avenue from mixed-use community, that's MUC, to planned mixed-use, PMU.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Item number 3, Chuck.
Okay, I'll move. We recommend approval of a planned unit development, conditional use permit, and final development plan to construct a multi-story automobile dealership and parking ramp at 1400, 1420, and 1500 70th Street East and 7711 14th Avenue.
Second.
Fair. Can we include one of the conditions to incorporate some of the color scheme from Backyard Grill? And if- I'm
I
kidding.
won't accept that amendment. Unfriendly.
Okay, no item there anyhow. Any other discussion?
Does that include the 5-year time frame?
I'm sorry.
5-year time frame? Yeah, I guess so, sure.
Yes, that is
Yes,
written into
right.
into the stipulation, yes.
Okay, so do we have a second on that? I missed.
Seconded, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay, so the motion and a second, no discussion. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, and so I noticed that you had et al. That I should have used in the last topic. You know, that would have worked fine instead of whatever. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, anyhow, moving on to new business, and it's considered a resolution finding that the acquisition of 6333 16th Avenue and 6401 16th Avenue for future multifamily residential development is consistent with the comp plan. Staff?
Thank you. The property located at 6333 16th Avenue is a vacant property currently listed for sale. The owner of the property at 6401 16th Avenue has approached the HRA to purchase the property. Both properties are located in the Cedar Point redevelopment area and are zoned MR3, high-density residential. The HRA has submitted a purchase offer to the owner of 6401 16th. The HRA has also made an offer on 6333 16th and is waiting to hear from the property owner. There may be sufficient funds to acquire additional properties in this area, which would also come before the Planning Commission for a similar finding of consistency. Once acquired, the HRA plans to retain ownership of the properties until a future date when redevelopment of the area to high-density multifamily housing occurs. And just as a reminder, anytime the city wishes to acquire properties, they are required to come before the Planning Commission for a finding of consistency with the comprehensive plan.
Okay, any questions of staff?
Yeah, just one. So Melissa, they're just trying to assemble these properties then so that they can have something to build, like looking for a multi-housing or duplexes, or what are they, have they got any ideas in mind?
Right, so this is the area directly across from Target and Home Depot. The area has been designated for high-density multifamily housing since that Cedar Corridor Master Plan was put in place in 2005. The impetus for that entire plan was the new north-south runway and the fact that single-family homes really were not found to be compatible with the noise and vibration from that runway. So all of these homes that we're slowly picking up are within that area, and eventually they would be sold to a developer who was interested in the property as a whole. But we have tried, as the properties have come up for sale, to pick them up when we can to help.
Now, are they going to be, are there, I guess I didn't go over there and look at them, but are they houses, or are they, so there are houses, are they livable houses, or are they, because I know some of them are in pretty good, rough shape over there.
Yes, as far as
So you're
as
planning
far
on
as I
renting
know,
them then?
No. The city has tried to largely stay out of
Yeah.
renting and that sort of thing, and so we will just hold them. They'll be vacant.
Okay.
yeah.
Really? Okay. They wouldn't be sold and moved and.
You know, we do talk to house movers, and I
Yeah.
believe our housing specialists have inquired about the properties. However, they generally like to move single-story ramblers and that
okay.
kind of thing, and these are 1.5 stories,
Okay.
and so we don't think there's a lot of opportunity for that, but it is something that we have done in the past.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Any other discussion or questions?
I do have some concerns about the long-term vacancy of this, right? So those would be houses that would be left vacant for an undetermined amount of time.
That is correct. The city has a housing vacancy policy, and the houses would be registered just like any other vacant home in the city. The hope is that they won't be left vacant for all that long. There is a lot of development interest in that area right now. And so I think that everyone is very hopeful that one of these proposals that's actually going to, I think we have between 2 and 6 developers who are going to present to the council next month. And so the hope is that these will not be vacant for very long.
And Mr. Chair, how many of the properties on that 16th Avenue side are left, or would the city is kind of waiting on?
On the 16th Avenue side, almost all of them are. It's the 17th Avenue side on Richfield Parkway. Those are all gone now.
So are these like the first 2 really on the 16th side to come up, or are there?
You know, I can't recall. I think that maybe we have picked off 1 or 2 others as they come up, but I can't say that for sure.
Yeah, just a comment. I drove by this evening. One sits right on the corner, and the other one is kind of like in the middle of the block type deal. That's how it kind of goes. So, but there's a lot of others there.
I was just curious how far along it is.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
I'm just curious about the vacancy. So is there a reason why the city doesn't demolish them after acquiring them?
I think it's a cost
Okay.
issue, but I apologize. That is not my area of expertise.
Because I do share the commissioner's concern about these empty houses just sitting there.
I agree, but I think, I guess the point is you got to keep on moving along on this process, and hopefully it won't be such a extended period of time. But I think as we get this opportunity, because we don't see this happen a lot, it's an opportunity that we have to take care of it at this point, from my perspective at least, to make sure that we're moving along in the right direction. So.
Right, and I would add, if there end up being problems at these properties, it's not something that the city can't revisit and address. But I think the idea is that it's more expensive to tear down individual homes than if we get a proposal and we can move along at the same time.
Okay, so I look for a motion to approve the resolution. Hello?
I will make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Okay, on to old business. I don't know how old it is, but anyhow. First item is, let's see, what do we got? Nothing, I guess. Okay, so it's on the liaison reports. Sorry, I missed my page. Liaison reports, Community Services Advisory Commission. I did attend their meeting. A couple items, Garfield Park play equipment. We reviewed 3 concepts that have been received at this point. I think they're still waiting on a couple for new play equipment at Garfield play area. $74,000 would be the cost of new play equipment. There's some really fun stuff, so even if you're just a big kid that hasn't grown up yet, you'll have a great time. So that's on their thing. They'll be making a decision on that coming up soon. Waiting still for a couple more items. Portland sidewalk art. They're going to have 8 poems as part of the kind of artsy piece of Portland Avenue, and so they'll be ingrained in the cement the way I understood it, and they're in process of getting that done. So they've got 8 poems that I think some of the kids at school are able to submit and so on, and they'll choose which ones they get. Taft fishery improvements, I guess they've had a little bit of an issue with that. They were gonna do some big improvements to Taft Lake as far as some fishing piers and fishing rocks, et cetera. Looks like that'll be scaled back a little bit, depending on the money that they have. And they will still do some stuff. It just won't be as extensive as what they had originally planned. Fowl dinner is for Friends of Wood Lake. Their dinner is on 4/24. So if you haven't received an invitation and want to go, it's a great time to support the Friends of Wood Lake and the Wood Lake Nature Center. So you could probably call over to the Wood Lake Nature Center to find out more about that. And it's a fun little gala that they have. And last item was a pretty extensive item talking about garbage collection. And the commission has been given the go from the city council to work on looking at least the feasibility of organized garbage collection versus the open current system that we have. And so it sounds like we're probably going to have some speakers come in that have done this already, so they can kind of get a feel as far as the process and how you have to go about making this happen if they decide that's the way they want to go. I'm sure there's more to come on this, but right at this moment it's kind of just in fact-finding mode, and they'll be looking into it now that they've been given the wherewithal from the city council. So that was that for community services. City council.
Yes, I just want to say that I did attend the March 10th meeting, and one of the highlights of that meeting was that the council did approve funding for the transitory ordinances for certain capital improvements, one of which was the band shell that is to be constructed in Veterans Park. And I just want to say the plans were not approved for any of the capital improvements, but the funding is just in place now for those improvements. And then tomorrow night, they're going to have an interesting discussion on, they're going to submit an RFP for franchising of TV. We have had Comcast as a solitary provider since the 80s. And so they're going to throw it out there in an RFP for another organization, another company. And that could make for some interesting times as all of us are thinking of looking at the funding that we pay out monthly to Comcast, that maybe there might be some relief on site. So that's coming tomorrow night. But it does require council approval before this RFP can be sent out to other companies, but that'll happen tomorrow night.
Thank you. Housing Redevelopment Authority.
I attended their meeting last week, and they also approved the purchase of the two properties we've just approved, as well as a sale to a property to Endress Homes, but I don't know if that's moving forward or not, but they did approve that. And then also some townhomes. And then one other interesting fact was the redevelopment of the library in the Edina area. So the courthouse is moving, the services are moving into the mall, and then it sounds like they're going to raise the building and rebuild the library in the corner. And brought up that no one from Richfield is on that committee. So even though it's not in Richfield property, it does connect, and we utilize that. So
just a question, I did see that article, so it'll just be a library.
that's my understanding.
But it will be there. I mean, we're not going to lose our library.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, I mean, we have Augsburg, but those of us on the west side do like our Southdale Library. Yes.
And you can still get your driver's license at the mall. That's it.
Thank you. Richfield School Board.
Yeah, at the last meeting, they actually had an informational hearing on the school health center, but didn't take any action on it.
Thank you. Transportation Commission.
The March meeting was canceled, so no.
Okay. Gordon's not here, so no Chamber of Commerce. Anything else? Any other item? Okay, none. City Planners Report.
I don't have anything to add tonight.
Very well. Anything else? If not, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.